No, I'm just talking to my engineer here. Right? Okay. I didn't test. I guess you can hear me testing, testing. Blessing, blessing, my villagers. Peace be to all of you today. I guess that's easier said than done, right? With what's going on in these Americas today, it's hard to see the blessings. But we believe, but just believe me, God is forever on the throne. We've just got to do our part. And let's don't be like the devout holy man. I know you all heard the parable. The man that was trapped by rising flood waters, where God sent a different rescue effort to rescue him, and he didn't receive it. When they came, he said, "No, I'm waiting for God." He drowned. But when he finally got to heaven, the story goes, he said to God, I was waiting for you. Why didn't you save me? And God replied, the story goes, I sent a truck, a boat, and a helicopter. What more were you waiting for? Now, don't let us make the same mistake of what God is giving us right now. The opportunity to vote. And if we don't vote, we'll have missed our opportunity for deliverance. Now, those of you who watch my podcast know that I often quote the scripture, Hosea 4:6, that says, my people will perish for lack of knowledge. We here take those words seriously. That's why we work so diligently to bring you information that inform, enlighten, and encourage thoughtful reflection. Our goal is to share that which empowers us to better understand our past, our present, and the possibilities for our future. But I always say, and I always stress, knowledge alone does not solve problems. See, enslavement, what we now refer to as Ma'afa, injured us. But without knowledge, we won't know how to treat our injuries. So therefore, knowledge is very helpful. That's why I bring guests on who have the knowledge and pray for those who can implement the knowledge for healing. So our guest today been informing us for years throughout his writing, his teaching, and his public appearances. His writings include Black Folk Hair. Very important. We have a thing about our hair. Then he wrote The Confession of a College Professor. And the third book he wrote was The 7 Most Dangerous Pitfalls Threatening Our College Success. And his latest book, The White People Show. Now, if you all recall, some 4 or 5 months ago, I sent out a plea to my white sisters asking, what's wrong with your men? And I've been getting responses, even from white men themselves, through these clippings that I bring you weekly. So the question is serious. What's wrong with white people? Oh, I know I'm going to need to say, not all white people. But I use the example of the snake. Not all snakes are poisonous. venomous. But in these times, I don't have time to try to figure which ones in the pile are not poisonous. But for those who need the assurance that not all white people are bad, I can point to John Brown went to the gallows for us. The two young white men who were killed in the 60s, I think it was Sherman and Goodman, and the many who marched with us in the George Floyd rallies. But since I am trying to save us, my obligation is to point to what and who will destroy us. Do you know, as I speak to you right now, this government is sending Haitians, our brothers and sisters, and other immigrants by the thousands out of the country today. Need I say more? Now, Rose will introduce our guest. After I thank my team here, I'm going to thank Sheila, my producer, who's on vacation. Power to you, Sheila. Have a great time, fun. To Juanita, the advisor. To Chastity and Halim, my promo crew. And to Tony, who sends out these clippings that we learn from each time. And, of course, Norm, our engineer, who's doing double duty today. Or I see my co-host is in. And Rose, we were praying for you.
Thank you.
Okay. But just let me bring you up to date with my projects. The number one, I want to invite you to an affair on this Thursday, July 30th, from 5:30 to 6:30. I'll go on at 5:30, so please be there. At the Mount Teman AME Church, 160 Madison Avenue in Elizabeth. I'll be presenting my books. This pastor, Reverend Britt, is an activist who's always been active in the community. So I want you to all come out and support us. It will mean so much to me. And I have a gift for you. So you better come out, because I do have a gift for all of you. And for those of you online. So all you need to do is send my producer, Sheila, your address, and she will send you the gift I have for you. Very important. Now, Sheila's number is 609, listen to me, 609-468-0220. It's on the back of my flyer also. And I'll be sharing 2 other projects that evening at Mount Teman. I am releasing my memoir to my youngest son, who made transition June of 2020, and by extension to all black sons. And my third project, a documentary, talking about the importance of African American elders. You hear me now, not just any elders, but African American elders. Then the second part of the documentary is going to be talking about hopefully a new lexicon for our lived experiences. See, what one word means to one person may not mean to us. And the third is a new concept of restoration. You know, we need to be treated. You know, I always emphasize here that we've been diagnosed. We've gone the whole route. We have all kinds of great experts, Dr. DeGraw and the rest of them. What I'm concentrating now on is the treatment of what we went through those 200 plus additional 200 years in this part of the vineyard. But right now, Rose will introduce our guests, and we're going to move forward.
Good afternoon, my villagers. Good afternoon. I am quite honored to introduce our guest. Our guest is a professor. Help me with the pronunciation of such a distinguished gentleman. Help me with the pronunciation. Is it Camu Kenyatta?
Kamal Kenyatta.
Kamal Kenyatta.
Kamal Kenyatta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No L.
Okay.
Kamal.
Kamal Kenyatta. Okay.
Yes.
An accomplished African American studies scholar, author, educator, speaker, and cultural consultant who has devoted more than 25 years to helping students and audiences better understand Black history, race, racism, Identity, and American Culture. Professor Kenyatta's work is rooted not only in academic studies, but also in lived experience. Growing up in the segregated South during the 1960s, I'm a 60s girl too.
So am I.
Yes. That awareness eventually became a lifelong commitment to questioning misinformation, preserving African American history, and helping others to understand how racism functions in both individual behavior and larger social systems. A man after my own heart. He has taught African American studies and courses on racism, sexism at several colleges and universities and has shared his knowledge in academic institutions, prisons, businesses, and cultural organizations. He is also an author and co author of several important works, including Black Folks Here, Secrets, Shame and Liberation, and the seven most dangerous pitfalls threatening your college success. Today, we will focus on his provocative books, The White People Show: How to Understand Racism and Still Be Wrong About It. The book grew out of the Professor Kenyatta's concern that many people participate in discussions about racism without clearly understanding or accurately defining it. After testing students' knowledge over several years, and based on his experience, he reported discovering that overwhelming majority could not properly define the term. That realization inspired him to write a book that challenges popular assumptions about racism and anti-racism. So, without further ado, I can go
Without
on and
further
on
ado,
and
right.
on and on about this man's
But just let me
accomplishments.
say, I'm going to let Brother Kamal talk about himself first. I understand you had some experiences, and I just heard you refer
Oh,
to it,
yes.
similar to mine, a Southern girl in the pre-integration days, where white kids were referred to as Mr. and Mrs. Welcome, my
Yes,
brother.
welcome, welcome, welcome,
He's
welcome,
been here
welcome.
before, and everybody's been asking me, when will you bring him back?
Well, this is
Okay.
my first time meeting him.
Yeah, you
And
went
I am so anticipated for every. I'm going to hang on every word you have to say. This is a
Well,
subject that is very close to my heart.
well, thank you, both, Sister Ruby and
Rose,
what's your name, Sister
Rose,
again?
Rose.
Sister Rose.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. In fact, I didn't need you to send me that bio because I was like, wow,
it's there, it's real.
it was
I
a
did
long
the
time
research.
you
I
talking
do a
about
lot of
me. I'm
research.
like,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I need to have that again. But I'm glad to be here. I thank Sister Ruby
Mhm.
for inviting me back to her show, Unapologetic Amateur and Looking for Experts.
Hmm.
Glad to
Hmm.
be here.
Hmm.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Now, just so we can start it off, give me some just a background of where you come from initially. I see you're a Southern boy too, and so am I. And a little experience about that bringing you to where you are now.
Yes, I grew up in the South, South Carolina, in a place called Timmonsville,
Hmm.
right outside of Florence, South Carolina. For those who may know that geography there, I grew up on a farm, a sharecropping farm with my grandparents, and went to school there, went to all black school until I guess I was in the 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade. I saw all black principals, administrators, teachers. We had our own community, plumbers, electricians, stores, and so forth. And so I saw all of that. And I also saw how the other side operates. In fact, one of them just recently passed away,
Mm.
Mm.
Senator Lindsey Graham. And I always said when I would see him, I know him.
Mm-hmm.
I know him. He is scum,
Mm-hmm.
and he hides it with a smile in his language. But those are the kind of people that I know about in the South, and he's a protege of people like Strom Thurmond and so forth, who were just
Right.
straight out. racist.
Yeah.
And, that whole experience shaped me in part uh, growing up for sure. It definitely
Absolutely.
shaped my understanding of the world and
Mm-hmm.
how we operate in it. And I've seen what has happened to us since that time.
Yeah. Well, what encouraged you or promoted you to write the book, The White People's Show? That's your. This is your
Well,
latest.
well, the white people show. Well, I actually have a later book. It's a smaller book, but I
Oh.
haven't really been promoting it that much. And that is three questions for the black church
Oh.
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that the choir is not singing about.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But the white people show came out of I taught racism. I taught African American studies for years, and then I also taught the racism and sexism classes when I was at William Patterson University.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started teaching the class, I just kind of assumed that everyone knew what racism was.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear students say things, and I would conclude that's not racism, and this happened over and over. And then I said, well, I need to be a little bit more pinpointed on
Mm-hmm.
that. And I would ask students to give me the definition. And I don't think I met five students in 30 years of teaching that actually knew what racism was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I saw it like looking at television or interviews and hear people talking about racism, or what they thought was racism. I'm like, that's not racism or what they're talking about. And someone, I kept saying in the classes, and I'm trying to remember the context I said it in. And, it's the white people show,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we're all exposed to 24/7.
Yes.
And so I said, that'd be a good title for a book. And I
Yeah.
said that for several years before I decided,
Uh-huh.
that's what I want to title this book.
Right.
And in the book, I'm talking about the definitions of racism. First of all, there are vignettes in the book from my life, little vignettes of things that happened from
Mm-hmm.
my childhood all the way to where I am now that demonstrate what we encounter with racism. Just as Sister Ruby, I think, said a few minutes ago about black people having to call little white kids Mr.
Yes.
and Mrs. and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that firsthand with my grandfather.
Mm-hmm. So did I.
My grandfather, who was an elderly man at the time, and he would see a white boy, and they would address him by his first name. His name was L.V. Davis, and they would say something like, "Elvie, you think you're gonna be getting that corn in soon?"
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather would have to say, "Yes, sir, Mister So and So," to this little white boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at this and hearing this and being confused because in our community, we were always taught to address adults as Mr. or Mrs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I would never address an adult by their first name. And that piqued my interest among many, many, many other things and incidents. That's one of the vignettes that I reveal in the book. Another one is going with my grandmother to the doctor's office. There was only one doctor's office in our town, Dr. Davenport. And you would see the signs on the door for colored and for white. And you see the water fountains. I saw all of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people now are amazed that people like us are still living.
Mm-hmm.
that
Exactly.
so that tells you how recent this was.
Yeah.
And I
Very
remember
recent.
going to the doctor's office with her, and I remember an encounter in the office. The way that was set up, black people were going one door, white people were going another door. There's one receptionist in the center of the office, and everybody had to, sign in with her. And when they called the person, whoever it was, everybody went back into the same examining room with Dr. I mean, yeah, with Dr. Davenport. And as a kid, I said something. This don't make sense.
Mm,
I thought that we were going different rooms, but we didn't. We
Right.
didn't.
mhm,
And I remember once my grandmother was talking to a white lady across because you can see we can see each other sitting on
Right.
each side of the room,
Right.
and they were having a conversation. You know, they're talking and going back. And I asked her, I said, where you know this lady from? And she said, oh, we grew up together. You know, we used to play
Mm,
together as children and so forth. And I'm like, well, why you don't talk to her now? She said, oh, no, we can't do that. When we got to be a certain age, her parents or her mother done told them, oh, you can't play with the niggers anymore.
mhm.
And so they stopped. And that was very prevalent in the South. You saw
Yeah,
black and white kids playing together until they reached maybe 11, 12 years old, something
yeah.
like that.
Even
And they
younger.
stopped playing
Mhm, mhm.
together. So those kind of things informed me. And with the racism asking that question, people getting it wrong, and I'm hearing people getting arguments and debates, and nobody defines the term or what we're talking about. And then when it got to the point of where everybody, where they would say everybody can be a racist. And I distinctly remember looking at television on a Saturday afternoon, and there used to be a commercial, or like a public announcement that would come on, and you would see a white person, a white male, white female, you see a black person, an Asian person, a Hispanic person, and they were all saying, we're all responsible for racism.
Mm.
And I looked
Wow.
at it and I jumped up and I said, oh, hell no.
Right. Do the
You're
hell
not
no.
sound
responsible
like
for no
Medea.
racism.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, but that has become the prevailing sentiment
Yes.
in most people's minds is that everybody can be racist. I'm
Mhm.
like,
Because of
then
ignorance.
you,
They
right.
don't
And I'm like,
understand.
you define racism for me.
Right.
And they'll give you it's prejudice, it's discrimination, things of that sort, they would say. And the definition of racism is simply the doctrine of belief. Well, I can say it what the more academic way is say the doctrine of belief that one or one's group is superior to others based solely on skin color.
Mhm.
And I modify that definition to say it's the belief held by white skinned people that they are superior to or better than other people simply
Mhm.
Right.
because they have white skin.
Right.
Mhm.
That changes the entire conversation because it's an indictment
Mhm.
Right.
that can't wiggle out of that. Well,
Right.
everybody can
Right.
be no,
No,
no, no.
everybody can't. That's
Right.
true.
Right. And then you have to go to the history. You know, the history doesn't verify everybody being racist.
No, not
The
Right.
at all.
history verifies that white skinned people have been racist. And I go into the origin of the concept racism, white supremacy, and
Mhm.
starting in Europe, they defined it, they developed it, they practiced it, and they maintained it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Say now that we are racist, black people are racist, it's like, wait a minute, we are the victims of it. And I use an analogy of that's like a woman having been raped and then saying that she is just as guilty of the
Yes.
rape as the rapist.
Right.
You know, they're on the same level.
Mhm.
And that's not the case.
Right.
And so I'm dealing with some material like that in the book, defining it, and I'm looking at the definitions that you find because the dictionaries and so forth will say this, but it
Mhm.
says it in such a language that's kind of like nebulous. It doesn't really want to identify, and that's part of what racism, white supremacy is to not be properly identified. And what it has done over the years is simply adjusted itself for the times. And now we see it reverting back to its original application with this current administration in
Oh.
place. It was always there. It was just
Mhm.
he just removed the rocks and let the bugs out.
Right, right. Speaking of this administration, I don't even need to know what your opinion on it, but just give it for us, for our ears. What's your opinion on it and how you think we're going to run through this, what we're going through? Don't even know how to describe it anymore because it sounds like anything that even I've been through. And I've been through, I'm from the silent generation, so been through much more than most of these folks that will be ever hearing us speak. But to the extent that we're going into territories that are very familiar with me, but for the sake of our younger folks, what do you see? What are we expecting from this? What we're into now?
Well, there are couple of ways, at least, of looking at this. It's a change from what we've been accustomed to, grown accustomed to over the last 40 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that we have a couple of generations that have grown up believing in the illusion of inclusion.
Yes.
And I kept saying that that bubble is going to burst. These people have not changed.
Yes.
Part of that comes from being in the South, growing up in the South, because I saw how they would attempt to do things if they needed to get something from you or if it was beneficial to them.
Right.
Right.
But they stayed the same. They were still the same, when push came to shove. And so it takes us back, burst that bubble so that we know, hey, look, it's not the way you thought it was. And in some sense, and I'm hearing it more surprisingly, we always talk about how segregation destroyed our communities and so forth. And now that this administration is kind of outwardly saying that they want to go back to that. And many of our people are saying, great, we want to go back to that too, because they're asking for something that they don't know what they're asking for. The drawback to that, of course, it pulls, the good thing is it pulls us together. It'll force us
Yes.
to have to work with each other and to look at what we need to do as a group to survive.
Absolutely.
The other part of it is the viciousness of how the resources would be allocated and the way they would let loose the so-called police force on us. But we have done something smart, and it's amazing that we have all gotten this message kind of at the same time. With all that's going on, none of us are hopping out in the street and protesting and
Right.
marching and doing all of this.
Yes. Yes.
Because we
Cosmic
know,
consciousness. Yes. Yes.
yeah, we know that if we do that, it's just going to give him an excuse
Absolutely.
Yes.
to gun us down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we've been smart in that regard.
Yes.
From some, maybe the ancestors are speaking to us or something.
Definitely, they are
Yes,
speaking to us.
yes, yes.
But
know.
you're absolutely right. But before we go any further, that's a misnomer in the first place about us desiring integration. They put it on Dr. Martin Luther King, but he really didn't. If you go back to his history, he was about desegregation, which is a different definition than integration. But at the time, they wanted to bring it to a point where the majority of their ignorant white folks could resist it, so they threw integration in there. But he never asked for integration. He asked for desegregation, which we all wanted. We wanted desegregation. Now, the integration came on with the like they do with this 2025 thing, that they always got a plan for us. So they plan to use that as a way to keep us fighting, and the ones they needed fighting against each other. So that's one thing we really need to begin to understand. When you train, you have to be very careful with how you allow them to change change your narrative. One of the things about my new documentary, Brother Kamal, and I want you to see it at one
Mhm.
point. Talking about how we need to create a new lexicon for ourselves in the first place to identify and explain our lived situation. Then we'll stop using their words to go define us.
Right.
So it's very important because I'll never forget that Dr. Martin Luther King never asked for integration. He said desegregation, and they turned it around to mean integration.
Right.
Now, one of the things that we're going to need to do too is concentrate on reparation. You know, every other group got it, and we still looking for reparation. So, what do you think about that, and what you think of the possibility of us ever getting that?
Well, and this relates to the book because my position is that racism is a permanent thing. I agree with the former eminent lawyer, Dr. Derek Bell from Harvard, who had said at the time and received a lot of flack about it that racism is permanent. You're not going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You might as well just face up to that fact. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going away. These people are so ignorant.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
They're so steep. Look, we've had 500 years of trying to educate them,
Yeah.
and they still don't get it or
Mm-hmm.
pretend that they don't get it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even try to talk to them or to teach them unless they are seriously interested. And so in terms of I forget almost the question that
The
you asked. I
reparation.
wanted
I
to
think I
the
asked you about the
reparations.
reparation. You think we ever
The
get that?
people ask me, well, since you know that there is racism and so forth, how do we solve it? And I said, well, number one, it's not our issue to solve. It's a white people's problem.
Mm-hmm.
They got to solve that. And if you want to talk about solving it, they want to have a discussion about it. The first point is let's talk about reparations.
Right.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about reparations, you're
Really?
peeing on my leg and telling me it's
Right.
raining.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're lying.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So the first order of business is reparations. We have to turn the heat up on that.
Yeah.
Now, I see that across the country, and you probably have seen it too. Like you have certain districts or cities or towns where they are paying reparations
Yes.
back
Yes.
to black people. But I'm like, that may be a mistake
Mm-hmm. I believe it is
because
a mistake.
getting they may be getting $90 million or something like that allocated for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's not
Yes.
enough.
And
Exactly.
it
That's
should be a
right.
joint effort in the first place. That way we'll all come together knowing we are equally
Entitled.
entitled
An ode.
and owed something. You know, it won't be
Uh-huh.
that separate kind of thing. We are equal entitled, just like other groups that have
Right.
gotten reparation, and we certainly
Right.
should have been the first one to get reparation. But however, now my thing is, and it's just me. When we get reparation, I don't think it should necessarily be in terms of or just finance. Believe it should be in resources like free school, free education, free housing, free whatever, free whatever. But until we are able to reestablish ourselves like the Black Wall Street, you know, have our own
Mm-hmm.
facilities
Mm-hmm.
to utilize amongst us. See, if we got money right now, where will we go? Right back to them. Could we have
Mm-hmm.
no
Yeah.
resources? So until we can establish the resources we need to work within our group, then we need to put the money up. Now, you give us money, but put it somewhere, you
Right.
know, with to trust from us that we will have it at that time when we are prepared to then work amongst us and put our money back into our community. Because if we don't, it will go out the same as it's going out now. You know, our money don't stay into our community. They what, less than 6 hours or so, when other folks stay in 3 and 4 days or more. So I think that should be a consideration also. What say you?
Yeah. Yeah. The primary payback, in my estimation, would be land.
Mm-hmm.
Because land is
Absolutely.
the basis. Land is the basis of
Now you're
life,
talking.
identity, and survival.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And free
So you
education and free housing. You know, the same as they did out of World War II, was it, when they
right,
created all these
But
housing
land
for them?
establishes
Well,
all that. Yeah.
in addition, not separate. I say
Yeah, I know,
land,
I know, but I'm
land,
saying,
right, right.
free
Oh, I'm
schooling,
not
free
not
what?
saying this or that. It's
Right.
right,
like
yeah,
The whole
what,
shebang.
and that,
all
Yeah.
this and that.
everything.
Yeah.
They owe us on
Everything.
top of
And then we would never be talking about
colleges,
affirmative
everything.
act. We would never be talking about, what is that, DEI.
Right,
We
right,
would
right.
never be talking about that other stuff that they claim they're
Right,
giving us,
right,
which the white woman has always benefited more,
right.
even with that. But it wouldn't be necessary to even pretend that they're giving us anything.
Right,
Right.
right.
And see, land, we can feed ourselves.
There you go.
Number one, be
Right.
able to feed ourselves, be able to house ourselves and
There
clothe
you
ourselves.
go.
We have all the
The
skills
primary
within
stuff.
our community to be
Right,
able to do
Yeah.
those
It,
things. We just need to
right,
organize. As far
right.
as education is concerned, we're going to have to jump the education that they have given us in this system. Because
Exactly.
as we know, as Carter G. Woodson told us almost 100 years ago now,
mm-hmm.
this educational system is designed to destroy us. And
Oh,
we've
Right,
definitely.
seen that destruction
right,
over the time since he wrote that book.
right,
We have to have our own independent
right,
school,
right.
and we're not looking for their approval. We're not trying to go under their system.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because see,
Absolutely.
once we subject ourselves to their system and say, well, we need funding for that, then they can start dictating
What
well what you can or
absolutely.
cannot talk about in these classes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what I'm
Uh,
suggesting, though, is to give us free range to do our thing, but finance it. You know, because that's what they did out of, was it World War One or two, when they created the
well,
schools.
well,
Everything was free for them until
The
we got
Jewish people,
involved in it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
the Jewish
regardless
people,
of,
the Japanese
I'm sorry.
people, but yeah, they paid,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not something that we necessarily have to sit around and figure out,
Mm-hmm.
simply because it's already been done.
Yeah,
There
already
is a
been done.
blueprint for how
Blueprint.
to do reparations. When it
Exactly.
comes to us, they were like they're like, well, how can we do this? Where is all this money going to come
Exactly.
from,
Right.
and so forth? And you have the nerve and the audacity to ask me something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I see you going and spending $1 trillion to go to across the world
Yeah.
and
Right.
kill people that ain't doing anything to you, and then you're
Exactly.
going to ask
Absolutely.
me where the
Exactly.
money coming from.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
so yeah, I think the land thing is important. The educational piece is important,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to have our own banks
Oh,
and
yeah.
Absolutely.
hospitals.
Yeah, and we would
Absolutely.
have that if they just turned loose and gave us our reparation. We know how to do it now. We did it right
Right
out of slavery.
Right.
You know what I'm
Now,
saying?
right now, the other piece that is important with that, we know from history
Mm-hmm.
that when they see us prospering this way, they get jealous
Oh,
and they
my
want to
goodness.
destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We have to have some kind of mechanism or something in place to protect what
Absolutely.
we are doing or what we're building.
Right.
And we know that whites operate basically from economics. They operate from an economic perspective. If they feel that they can get something economically from something, then they're all for it. But if they can't, then they're not going to do it. We know that from the civil rights movement. They eventually came to the realization, these people want to come to our food, our restaurants, and so forth. Hey, let them come. We're going to make money. So we have to understand their psychology in dealing with them, because whatever we build, we know that they're going to come and try to destroy it. Knowing that, we have to think about they don't have our best interest in the
Well, we
mind.
should never think that they do. But that brings me to a good question for you.
The
Now, I
damage.
the damage, you just said it. See, we got to remember that slavery was not just a crime, it was an injury to us. So that's what I'm trying to promote now. I'm trying to promote us to understand that when we look at, I'm a curious person, always has been, but I don't feel so bad because I see one of our great minds, what his name, Einstein, who said, I'm not so smart, I'm paraphrasing him now, not so smart, I'm just curious. So I don't mind being in that category. I'm just curious, not so smart. I'm always
Mhm.
curious when we see we're not doing what we know we did prior to 400 years ago. We build pyramids, right? So if we are in
Right.
a position now we're not thinking straight, something tells me we should approach us from a different perspective. That's what I'm writing about. Now we should see how to. We had great people who have taught us and diagnosed us, but now we need to be treated because we are injured. We have been injured. That doesn't mean that we are permanently damaged now. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
Even with our injury, we come out the best of the best of the best. But to the extent that we have to realize and consider that what we went through, what they took us through for those 200 years, even the United Nations just recently said that what we went through was the worst atrocity. Listen to me now. Didn't say one of the worst. The worst atrocity ever upon humankind, right? If that is the case, why aren't we thinking about the treatment in addition to the diagnosis? So that's what I want to concentrate on now. And I want my experts in Africanism. Now, I don't mean just expert in anything. You can be an expert in a mechanic, but I mean expert in what we are about. And that's the theologian, that's the psychiatrist, that's the historians that will get something together. And I make the example of an oncologist or a cardiologist, someone who specializes in a particular area. We need someone specializing in our area. That's why I frame this podcast. Unapologetic amateur looking for experts, and I changed the word now from Africanism to Africanology, and
Okay.
that's what we need to, I believe, to think about more deeply than we probably have been. And I'm asking the question, I wonder why? Why don't we think about it from that perspective?
Well, one of the things that has us, given the history, we have never had a clear vision
Mm-hmm.
of what it is we want.
Mm.
We've been going off in different directions and so forth, but not having a clear vision that is conveyed to the community. This is where we want to go. This is how we see things happening. Now, we did have people like Marcus Garvey, for
Yeah.
example, who did
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
a vision,
Mm-hmm.
and Booker T. Washington clearly
Mm-hmm.
had a vision
Mm-hmm.
of where we should go. Those things got sidelined and
Yeah.
so on. But the vision comes first. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know where you want to go, what it is you want to create, you're not going to galvanize people to come together
But
to
don't you
go for.
think that
You know
requires
what I'm saying?
particular expert? Just say I'm using again. I'm going to use this as an analogy.
Mhm.
When you're dealing with oncology, it's not just that person out here. That person they get together under an umbrella, so that it's a big institutionalized thing that they study this stuff. And if I got stage 4 cancer, you may give me advice as to who to go to, but it's gonna always be to a particular expert in that field, right? You wouldn't even tell
Mhm.
me to go to a cardiologist, and he's very well endowed with knowledge, but knowledge of the heart.
Mhm.
So don't
Right.
we need folks who may have all the knowledge, but have the thought to come together as an oncologist or as a cardiologist to specialize in that, what will teach me and others who are amateurs. I may know
Mhm.
what happened to me, but I don't know what it will take for me to get out from under necessarily. I use the Clarence Thomas's. My last book that I'm doing now called Damaged Goods Made in America. It's a little pocket thing that I'm going to give as a gift to people. Which means that we have damaged people like the Clarence Thomases, Candace Owens, and even some of our well-meaning people. Just think about it, brother. Come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah, for sure.
President Obama. We love him. We know he's an educated man, Harvard and all. But when he came out with that brother's keeper, it kind of offended some of our black men because they saw it as him kowtowing to the power to be to get along, or whatever. But what
Hmm.
happened, we shouldn't blame him because with all his intellect, he's still not African uh, expert,
Center.
in that area. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you is where do you think we can go to establish an identity that will fit our situation?
Well, the simple answer to that, in which I've basically dedicated my life to, and it often gets dismissed because it doesn't seem like the answer that puts us on the road to the place that you're referring to. And that is history, understanding our history. We have not grasped, and we got to convey it to our people, the significance of history. My website, professorkenyatta.com, my subtitle is Healing the Wounds.
Yeah, sure.
Healing the Wounds. And I primarily do that with history. And Arthur Schomburg, who established the Schomburg
Museum.
Research Center
Right. The
in New
museum.
York,
Yes.
he said something very, very important during his life. And he said that history must restore what our captivity took away.
Right.
For it is the social damage of our captivity that the present generation must repair and offset. See, as long as we don't fully understand who we are
And
and
why
what the
would
purpose
we?
is,
Right? Why would we understand that we are human beings? We're not understanding the same. I'm going to go back to the oncologist. I'm going to go back to cancer. If I got stage 4, I ain't the one to understand it. I got the experts out there who would skip a systematic effort to make us, the ones who have these diseases, to understand how to treat them, where to treat them, and how to cure them. Now, let me just do this before I get you back on. I want to check my Norm, my engineer. I want to check my villagers to see who we got on board today. I'm always appreciative of them. Sheila Bird. Okay, I see Lloyd Sharp. Good afternoon, family. I love you all. Askil Muhammad, Aisha, Nicole, Robert Cavishaw. Good evening. We're on deck. Sheila Bird. Good afternoon, Walter Shivers on deck, all the way from California. So we appreciate all of you always. Always have your Assalamu alaikum. That must have been Juanita, but I couldn't see the name. But anyway, for those of you who I didn't see, I do appreciate you. And just stay with us and stick with us because what we're trying to do is to spark information that we think is prevalent, worthy, and worthwhile. At least our people will perish for lack of knowledge. Now, my brother, go back to saying what you were saying, which is very interesting.
okay, the historical piece. And see, we have not been taught our history. Everybody is walking around with fragments of our history because we didn't go through a system that's an educational system that systematically taught our history. We will hear about this person here, we'll hear about that event there, we'll read something in a book, and we think we know our history. But but think about if you studied psychology that way, or sociology that way, or math that way. Each one of those disciplines have a systematic way
Exactly.
in which they start. They start you off at the beginning. Uh, Psychology 101, sociology 101. We don't want to start at the beginning. We want to jump into what we think is, more important. And see, we have to have an understanding of what it is we're looking at. Why are we doing this? The purpose of studying history is a very important thing. It helps people understand or get proof of their worth. They get proof of their worth and of their people. If you don't have that, then you can call each other
The N word and
out of
all
your
that.
name, the N word, the B word, whatever, because you don't understand your purpose. People who understand their purpose or their worth, I should say, their
Your
worth,
worth.
they're not going to do that.
Mm-mm. Right.
No other group of people in the world does that.
Mm-mm. Right.
And no other people in the world attack each other's physical being when they get angry. You big nose this, you black. Oh, I'm gonna kick your black.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it black? Do you ever hear a Chinese person saying, I'm gonna kick your yellow
Right.
butt?
Right.
Mm-mm.
Or even
Right.
a white person saying, I'm gonna kick your white.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that we're focusing on the black? Because we have been taught that black is not worthy.
So we are in a different mindset. That just goes to show you,
We're in a
brother,
different mindset.
than any other group in the world. So one of the reasons I'm stressing here on this
Mhm.
podcast is that then in that case we should see what we need, the direction we need to go in differently. We'll go in it different than an average group who just need to know their history. We have to go in it from a point that we need experts specifically designed and designated to just what you just said to bring it to
Mhm.
us. You know, again, I'm going to make the analogy of a disease, because that's what it is. We were injured. Slavery was not just a crime; it was an injury that was afflicted
Mhm. Yeah.
upon us. So, if it were, it wouldn't be up to me. I'll tell everybody. I'll stand on any platform and I'll defend. But that's about as far as I can go. I'm not the expert. The expert needs to define. And after they define, they need to come up with the treatment cures to save us from where we have been. Because if we look at our situation, all we need to do is look at where we came from over a 400 plus year period. If we have been damaged to this degree that we don't have the sense to do what you just said, and you're absolutely right. But in my book, Verbal Healing, I talk about how we can't use ourselves as we're the victims. We can't use ourselves otherwise, because if we knew better, we would do better. So I'm suggesting that there got to be a specialized type of effort put forth that we will be treated the same as anyone with any major injury. And that's what I see us with major injuries that is manifesting itself in the Karen Thomases of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, even the best of us, because sometimes we may allude to things that if we had thought about it, we'll say, oh, or treatment for it, we'll say, oh, well, we're doing this because of this. We've been uh, uh, all the things that happened to us over the 200-year period, first 200 years, never mind these continuing 200 years, because it's still lasting. Still lasting. Now, my brother, I know you went off into some other things since I saw you last. The business party. I just want to hear a little bit about that. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but it is enjoyable to
Uh,
have you here. We're going to have you back.
okay. The business part is Black History Unfiltered.
Mm,
That's what my website is about. I have a course that deals specifically with that because I've been teaching this for years in the colleges and universities,
mm-hmm,
and I've seen the impact. I have seen unequivocal impact on students, and I have the testimonials to prove it. I have the students who have now, many of them are teachers themselves. They're in all different types of industries in the world, and they maintain
mm-hmm,
that little encounter, what I call a little encounter with me, and the material that we dealt with that completely changed them. That's why I know
mm-hmm,
that, and I am the recipient of it, because when I learned the history, it completely changed me. I look at the life of Malcolm X, and
mm-hmm,
Malcolm X said, of all the things you can do,
mm-hmm,
history is the thing that's going to reward you the most.
mm-hmm,
That's why I
mm-hmm.
keep saying and I emphasize the history is important, because once you understand who you are, you understand your value. And when you understand your value, you're going to operate in the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to have a systematic way of doing that. And that's what I've put together in on my website, professorkenyatta.com, and the course is Black History Unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same stuff that I taught in the school system, in the educational system, but unfiltered,
Mm-hmm.
because in the educational system, I had to be circumspect in how and what I said because I never knew who was in the classroom and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But with this, I can give it to you unadulterated, undiluted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just me giving the information, but examining that information. And it doesn't take long in the scope of things, but it does take some time
Mm-hmm.
and dedication. And that's what we don't have. We don't have a way to force our people to sit down and give it to them. You
That's
know,
what you just said
it's
it.
on a,
But there should be an effort to do that, right? The same
yeah,
as an oncologist can't come and say, I'm going to treat you. They have to go to a school. They have to get together. They have to converse. They have to. That's all I'm trying to say. We're getting there now.
yeah.
We
Uh,
don't have that. And it's no fault of any of ours. But the educators, the experts, the people who understand it from what you just said will one day get together, combine all their thoughts and expertise and whatever else they got to figure out a way to come to the masses of us, the masses.
right.
Because I don't know. I know history. That's not enough. I want to know how to be cured from what I think. I was in the cornfields and I used to get those corn silks. So corn I thought was the prettiest part of the corn because I thought that
Yeah.
was a great hair. You know what I'm saying? But you wrote the book about hair, so you understood it maybe before I did that wasn't what it was about.
Mhm.
When I became got my natural many years ago, I was at this legal place and I was the only black in the office at the time. And I went in that day with my fro. Honestly, I didn't appreciate my hair at that time. I was doing it for political reasons. But
Mhm.
after that, I began to appreciate my hair in such a way I couldn't keep my hands out of my natural. It was that beautiful to me. So there's a
Mhm.
process. It's not just something that, like that. We were damaged, really seriously
Very,
damaged.
very much so. Very much so. That's what my hair book is about. The idea that it's a one and all fix, that because that when you're damaged, if you're in a car accident, you might have a broken arm, but you might have something wrong with your leg. So
Hmm.
you gotta deal with those pieces,
Right.
and those pieces of our history that makes us broken or
Right.
damaged.
Yeah,
And as you
exactly.
said, we can be healed.
Hmm.
We just
Yeah.
have to map it out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're a lost cause.
No, by no means, by no stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I tried to emphasize, in spite of what we lost, what we have still is an amazement.
And that
Why we could compete with anybody, anywhere. We're the inventors of the world. We're
at any
everything,
time.
fashion and all that. So we have nothing to be ashamed of. We just have to recognize the fact that, yeah, we are damaged in the people. Anybody would be, you know.
Mhm.
Because if
And
we don't admit it, then we can't explain it to Clarence Thomas.
right. And the if I were to sum it up in a nutshell,
Hmm.
what we as a people must begin to do is fall back in love with ourselves,
Hmm.
You
with our physical selves,
Hmm.
our culture. Well, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm talking about loving it,
Hmm.
right,
Yeah.
not ridiculing it, not joking
right,
about it,
Hmm.
right,
not making it a side issue.
right.
Hmm.
So when we just to think about what happened to us, where why we have to, when we're talking to another black person, we're angry with them, get
Hmm.
your black so and so over
Right,
here, I'm gonna
exactly.
kick your black. Why is it that we're doing that? And
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
what we do in the history piece.
Hmm.
You understand where that started, why it started,
Hmm.
and you see the damage that it's doing,
Hmm.
what it's done to yourself, and that you're doing to others when you say it.
Make it a science, not just an opinion. Make it a
Right.
science through experts that will come up with that to teach us, teach the masses
Hmm.
of it. Because three or four of us know, but out of a million, 20 million of us kind of lost. So we need to
Yeah.
get the three or four who really know that and how to get two people with that. That's what I'm fighting for. I really am.
Right, and the thing is, it's never going to be the masses that's going to lead the few.
No, it shouldn't be.
It's always going to be the few who
Mm-hmm.
lead the masses
Exactly.
with a
Exactly.
clear vision
Mm-hmm.
of where to go and what needs to be done, and the awareness of the enemy that we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with,
Oh, yeah.
both outside of the community and within the community.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know,
I appreciate you. Look like our time is just about up. I knew it would be. We got to get you back again because it's very interesting. And what I want to say to my villagers, please let me see you at Mount Teman this Thursday. I got a gift for you. But even so, I just want to see you. We need to learn how to support each other. Just as the brother said, that's what we got to get back to. We know how to do it, but we just got to get back to it. So I'd like to see you all this Thursday at 5:30 at Mount Teman AME Church, 160 Madison Avenue in Elizabeth. And I want you all to please share. You got to, what is that other thing they got to do? Uh, 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 to the program so we can get it through the people. People, that's how people know to watch and
share,
support.
Oh,
repost,
Yeah,
repost.
repost. Give it to me because I found something. Thought I had written it down here.
and what is your, so I can send this information to you? What is, I did a little research on you and
Uh,
beautiful bio. It was too much to even talk about. And so we definitely got to have him back
Oh, definitely.
because he has so much to share.
Yeah.
What is your
Email?
email that I can send
my
this?
email,
Mhm.
depending on what it is you want, I have a couple of different emails.
Uh,
Professor, well,
you can send it to our, you know what? I want to send you some things. You can
oh,
send it to our
send it,
producer. Our
Yeah, send it
producer.
to Sheila.
Sheila, our producer.
Uh-huh. What I want to
send it.
say is to share and like us. Click, share and like, because that's the way we can
Yeah,
get our people through. And Brother Kamal, you could send your information through Sheila. You know, you have her information and all, and
Yeah.
send
Our
it through me.
producer. Do you
Yeah,
have
producer.
her
Sheila Bird.
Sheila Bird?
She's the one that
yes,
contacts you all the time.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my website is professorkenyatta.com,
Okay.
and the email would be just you use work at
Work at
professorkenyatta.com.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, our
So
All
time
right.
is up. Our time is up. Our time is
Thank
up. And
you.
thank you so much for being
thank
here.
you.
And God
Thank you
bless
for
you.
having me, Sister Ruby and
Yeah.
Sister Rose. I
Yeah.
appreciate you
Very
all.
informative.
And I give the Kenyatta stamp of approval of what you're doing.
Okay.
Okay. All
We
right.
appreciate that. Okay,
All
bye
right.
bye, my
Okay. Bye bye.
villagers.
Bye bye.